Welcome everyone, Simon here from the Whales of Wall Street. Hedera is on our radar today. That's HBAR, HBAR on the exchange. Guys, we've done an intro video to Hedera before. Do go check that out at the end of this one if this is not familiar to you. But for me, Hedera is one of the absolute powerhouses and certainly one of the fundamental projects that you would definitely want in your portfolio. That's not financial advice, that's just pure brilliant opinionation, just throwing that out there. So guys, before we do that, do go check out our previous videos. We cover a multitude of projects, a couple of which that are on the stream right now will very much interlace with our topic today. But do check them out. We've got a few rabbit hole conversations going on here as well. And do make sure as well, of course, that you make sure you hit that big thumbnail just above the comments, and also make sure that you hit that subscribe button, because we want to try and get to 10,000 at some point this year. That'd be amazing. So thank you for your support. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you're enjoying it. Let's go. So guys, Hedera, just for the record, and I've tried this so many times to try and catch it out, 10 times faster than blockchain alternatives. Now, first of all, as we mentioned in the intro videos for Hedera, and we talk about HBAR along with the likes of Constellation's DAG being the keyword as well as the token name, and IOTA. These principal projects or technologies are, in my opinion, the next evolution of blockchain. Direct acyclic graph, which we have done an intro video as well. I think we do a lot of intro videos. We'll put that onto the end of this one for those that want to learn a bit more about the technology of DAG. I think it's absolutely fascinating. And to put it into layman's terms, like really brief description, if you think where blockchain is like maybe a linear kind of sideways action of block being created one after the other. Now, there's loads of things with blockchain. I certainly learned a lot when I did my thesis in blockchain and cryptography about Merkle trees and how these blocks break down into verification and processing, and how fast that can be done, and scalability, all of this stuff. But DAG is very different. DAG is very different in the sense it can do all that, but it can also like bypass things if things aren't working in certain areas. And that's not just for transactions or speeding up transactions. We talked about in a recent IOTA video about the action aspect of a machine or an AI or algorithm, maybe a device or product that is built on the internet. It could be a drone, it could be a car, anything connected to the internet. And it means that if something, let's say for example your house, think of your house and you've got loads of smart home cameras, bulbs, heater, thermostat, all this stuff. Imagine if like it was all on one network and one of the light bulbs didn't work because of the connectivity or something like this. It would be able to bypass through the other devices to make sure that that one started working again. And it's the exact same principle. If you think of a highway of drones, which we covered in the recent IOTA videos, like if one was to fail, another one would come in and take its place or work out how it needs to fix itself through machine to machine learning. Absolutely incredible. These are just really small, intricate parts of how DAG works. Like I said, I'm not going into huge detail because we do have the information video on DAG. So this 10 times faster than blockchain alternatives is amazing. We'll show you the HashPack in a minute, which is basically a Hedera powered wallet, which you can use for staking and holding HBAR and also via Ledger. But I transferred HBAR from my Binance account, and I'm not even joking. This thing happened by the time I had literally clicked buttons on my smartphone. The time I checked onto my ledger, it was already on there. Now, a lot of networks and blockchains out there boast X amount of transactions per second, guys. But this is the beauty of DAG. This is exactly what I mean. And it's almost eliminating that need of like the proof of work or essentially validations to the extent where it can take 15 seconds or a minute or 2 minutes or something like this. It's absolutely amazing. It's the next level of how things will be sped up in today's world. So I couldn't believe it, but I could at the same time because I know HBAR is very powerful. So you've got all of these things here, and this here about always predictable gas fees. You know, we talk about gas fees, and a lot of these DAG systems are claiming feeless transactions, and that's purely because of the way that the Tangle or the DAG systems work. And I want to point out again here, Hedera, owned and governed by the world's leading organizations. Now, when someone asked me the other day, because they were like, oh, IBM, they got their own blockchain, I was like, no, I can assure you it's not their own built one. They're using technology out there already. Now most projects use Ethereum because, you know, if you imagine the OX address, and a lot of projects built on this use their own chains, but they use what's called an EVM. So this is basically like the virtual machine, Ethereum virtual machine, allowing people to branch off and fork off Ethereum's power and tech. Now, Hedera, doing its own thing here, is powering some of these big projects here. And you might be thinking, well, why? Well, we spoke about EDF before, their integrations with like the likes of Energy Web Foundation, for example. IBM, of course, doing great things across the world in IT, electronics, etc. You've got things like Google for like KYCs and algorithms of verifications. LG, of course, a multitude of different products. They're not just washing machines and this, that, and the other. There's so many things extra that they do. Amazing to see Ubisoft in here as well recently. I think this is quite a new one that's been added, actually. And of course, FIS, well, humongous in terms of financial institution levels at the top here. And these are just some of them. We've got to remember as well that some of the people in here are people who are bodies on the panels of Hedera making this work. And here's some examples of how many transactions per second. Now, I don't really like these charts because it's very easy to compare yourself with Bitcoin and Ethereum, but I can assure you, even against other networks and blockchains, this is almost pretty much far superior to all of those as well. So very interesting stuff there. But my 2 points here I wanted to make. First of all, about the HashPack. If you haven't downloaded this yet, do so. HashPack.app, this is the official website. Make sure you go through this Chrome web store through this website, not any others. Don't Google it and go on the search terms. Just make sure you're going through the right way. You can install the Chrome mechanism here, the extension, and then you can download that onto your desktop browser, and you are able to transfer back and forth HBAR to your exchanges to and from. Also with this, you can connect your ledger, but do bear in mind that if you're looking to do staking, you will want to, at this point in time, do manual transfers across without connecting your wallet, so to create a wallet by itself. But they are working on Ledger being able to work with the staking application of HashPack, which I'm looking forward to very much. So I just tend not to do anything unless I can use my ledger in some capacity. I like that extra layer of support. So that was my first point to make. It is powered, by the way, by Hedera, so don't panic. It's not like a big third party thing as such. It's powered by Hedera, so you can be in good hands on that one. And there's a big instruction manual here on the Ledger website, how to create a Hedera HBAR account via HashPack. Very simple to use. Usually I do staking videos, but in all honesty, this is so simplistic. I couldn't really provide the detail any clearer than what it has on here. It's so fluent with instructions, and you can't really go wrong with it at all. But if you haven't got the Ledger account or a Ledger wallet, you can just simply go through the system and set up your account. Just please make sure you write down or hide or put safely somewhere your ID number that they give you, and also any other passwords that you know that you need for these accounts. Because like, if you want to be decentralized and own your own assets and become your own powerhouse of finance, you have to take the responsibility that the banks would not allow you to do. So just bear that in mind when you're doing that. The other point as well I wanted to make clear here as well, we mentioned about some of the partners. Okay, I wanted to bring to the attention about Quant and LCX, of course. For some reason, my browser decided to kick me off this. So I'm just going to put in Hedera here. I'll get my article back up. Oh, that's why the internet's died. So while that's loading back up, we have been talking about Hedera, Quant, LCX. Now, LCX is a huge exchange and powered by Hedera, of course. We must understand the power of Quant and how they're interlacing with LCXs as well. And if you think about this, with a big, huge system, a big ecosystem building here, This is really exciting in my mind. Now, this article is from last year, but the principle is still the same, guys. The fact of the matter is all of these projects are working together in some capacity. This makes me extremely bullish. Do you know what also makes me extremely bullish is the fact that they're also related to or attend events relating to the World Economic Forum. If you don't know who they are, what they are, go and find out on their website. But in a nutshell, they control everything, every kind of policy, every kind of government movement. And mark my words, in this video, as I have done for weeks and weeks now, I guarantee to you, we have now got Liz or Sunak being potentially the next Prime Minister here in the United Kingdom. They are both members, very highly and participating members in the World Economic Forum. And if you look at the G7, the rest of them out there, you will identify that one by one they're being taken out of their positions and they will be replaced with systematic people working for the World Economic Forum for the next phase. The next phase, everyone out there, is to do with many things, especially CBDC, basic universal income systems, and all of these things that are relating to what we are invested in right now. This is how big it is, guys. We talk about like the replacement of SWIFT and CHAPS all going ahead right now. Deadlines of November 2025 for the full complete switch off of the existing financial systems being replaced with the new ones, the new RTGS system powered by blockchain, utilizing the likes of ISO compliant tokenomics projects like Quant, like HBAR, Algorand, XRP's Ripple, Stellar Lumens. There's Topable, I can't remember, Zinfin XTC, I think Avalanche Renair, and so are a couple of others. The point being, guys, is the magnitude of all this. HBAR in the background is doing things no others are. I love IOTA to bits, and that's going to have its place for sure. And I do generally think that's going to be more down the machine-to-machine AI aspects. Hedera is going to be pretty much powering majority of the financial levels of things here. This is next level stuff, guys. You could not imagine or fathom the sheer size of the financial market and what's coming in the next few years and beyond 2025. Of course, it doesn't just stop at 2025. It's in being implemented, and then we're on our way. So it's an absolute privilege to be holding such tokens like HBAR and all the ones that we've just mentioned, and particularly, very importantly, dot connecting all of these to understand that why do I need to hold these ISO compliant projects? Why do I need to understand the World Economic Forum? Why do I need to understand blockchain and CBDCs and basic universal income? All of these things. Why do I need to figure this out? Because all of you out there are essentially investing in the demise of society. Simple as that. I learned a long time ago, especially back in 2015 when the Agenda 30 program was signed off by over 150 countries off the back of the 1991 Agenda 21 program being signed off, and now into this phase. I learned quickly from 2015 from a man called David Icke, who was talking about digital currencies, universal currencies, basic universal income, and I generally thought, I think you're going a bit crazy, mate. But a couple of years down the line, always followed him, always believe in anyone's opinion and thoughts. You have to be open-minded, and all of a sudden started seeing all these things unraveling. That's why I found the answer of blockchain. I found the answer of cryptocurrency and cryptography, and instantly in my head I started dot connecting and realizing what is happening. Mark my words, when you know, you know. And I can tell you now that I know so many things within these systems, so many people in the high-end level that work for the likes of FIS, WorldPay, good friends of mine. I work in the Web3 space. I can see what is happening. And you know what? Unfortunately, the world, the way it's going, humans, as people want to try and battle all these things, it's not going to work. The power is too big. And these projects, these kind of projects are going to be the forefront. You could say the top 10 coins, whatever you want. I'm not really interested in that. I'm just saying to you, the magnitude of these projects are phenomenal. And Hedera is for sure in that list. Let's go into the chart, guys, before we wrap up this video, because we must also understand where we are price point wise if it's something that you are interested in getting into. So we've had a significant drop down like the rest of the market since the early part of this year and the latter stages of last year. In fact, HBAR Hedera was going all the way up to the top here to 50-60 cents. We are now slapped back down here around 7. I was buying Hedera back in 2020 when it was around 2 cents, and I always purchased HBAR on the way up. I have not sold any HBAR because I had this theory that HBAR, anything under $5 for HBAR is an absolute steal, in my opinion. If you look at the tokenomics and the supply and everything like this and how Hedera will be used, it was a no-brainer for me to think that we could at least get to a $5 mark for Hedera by 2025. If we switch on with the new RTGS system as they plan, it could be a lot more than that. We could be even looking maybe towards $15. What do you think about that? Throw your comments in there. Let us know your predictions. But right now, here today, of course, we had these lower points here at the lower regions of 6 cents, but I still think 7 cents is very, very respectable. Now, what I want to point out here, guys, and this is very important, when you're looking or analyzing charts, always look backwards as well in time. This is very important to understand support levels, because support levels aren't just about the macro, i.e. the short term, they also apply to the long term as well. So, for example, if I get my horizontal line here, and I put in where we are currently right now, I put also a line here for where we hit these bottom areas. Now you start seeing some really interesting information and data here. 3 points of significance back here in the years of February 2020 to January 2020. I'll call that a year, right? We had 2 rejections, arguably, maybe even 3, but we'll call it 2 here. One here, March 2020, one here, August 2020. In this period, we jumped through it. This is where the bull run began, if you remember, with a lot of the projects out there. We had a pullback, we had ups and downs, but now we're in a position back here in the bear market, okay? 2 years down the line from where we were back at these regions here. This I call the void or the black hole of markets. This is where it gets a bit dangerous because we don't have support at these lower levels. Now, what we can do is traders and people who believe in projects have full strength and confidence to jump in with significant amounts of money when we hit higher ends of the spectrum. Now, this fib retracement chart, I can't even remember the last HBAR video that I did, but I certainly drew it in that one. And you can clearly see, plain as day, this point that I'm making from the bottom to the top. These are where the big traders have been focusing their attention. They didn't want it to come back down yet. They wanted that big bull run, if you remember. And I always say in all my videos, you can tell when July 2021 was because you get this exact same pattern in all of the projects out there. We hit the highs like we did with all the projects towards the end of the year, and then hey presto, recessions, inflations, all the other garbage out there at the moment, and nonsense and of course sad things going on as well in the world contribute to all these movements down. We broke through this previous barrier here because we're just on a pure momentum of simplistic bear market movement, right? And winter market, if you would like to call it that. So we're now down at this area, and there's 2 conclusions at this stage. 1, we are at the higher positions than we were back in 2020, and 2, we're at a very nice stable stage. Now, I'm not suggesting that we don't come down any lower for Hedera, but as I said, back to this point here, we are now testing significantly this particular area of interest, particularly around the 7 cent mark. That's where we're sitting right now. We're currently floating on a macro fib retracement level around this 7 cents. We've already been down here. We've tested this 5 cent mark. We've been messing about here at 6, but pretty much on the nose, and we've been testing at 7. Currently, it's not doing so well here. That's why I've been accumulating right now, because I do think this is a good area of purchasing for the long term. But I will also for sure be having my buy area back down here at the lower regions of 6 cents. And call me crazy if you like, I have them again back at 5 cents. Why do I have it down here? Because still in the back of my mind feel that Bitcoin could fail and bring itself back down to $15,000, maybe even $12,000. We just don't know where these bottoms or tops are. So I always have a bag of USDT in the portfolio for these kind of days, and I have buy orders back down these levels, because 2 cents, guys, does actually make quite a big difference to the accumulation amounts that you have in your bags overall. So they're my 3 trigger points on the way down. Now, I'm not really getting excited at all or any thought process about Hedera making some miraculous recovery all the way up to 10 cents all of a sudden the next month or two. Absolutely amazing if it does, but I do genuinely believe that we're not fully out of this yet, and you'll see in a lot of the projects this flotation area. I called it about 2 months ago. I said we need some stability, and I guarantee you'll see that. What you'll also see is the volumes being very, very steady. We've seen this big sell-off back here in April and May like we did with everything else. The intakes have come in, but look at this. The outtake was so small. Yes, we could be overdue and have another small one come out, but the thing is, most people are probably in a negative position. Why would you sell at a loss unless you felt like you could make some money on the way down, right? So there's that implication, but also everyone's very cautious about what could happen with their jobs, what could happen with their bills, their interest rates, their mortgage rates, all of these things. So they put in what they can when they can, and that's so clear as day, because long gone until the bull markets, of course, long gone have the solid in and outs gone. Do you see what I mean? We're now in this steady approach. The RSIs of HBAR are still in a bullish move here on the MACD, so it hasn't even gone into negative or switched over for such long on the 20th of June. So we're already pretty much a month in this now, and not seeing any sell-off just yet. Be careful, be cautious still, doesn't mean it's not going to happen. But the RSIs in terms of purchasing, we had a bit of a high point here a couple of days ago at 57 on the 14-day, and 28-day shows 46. Right now these are a bit lower, but for me it's still to middle ground. I'm anticipating that we might come down a bit lower than this, and I will be grabbing it. That could be what takes us down to perhaps 6.5 or 6 cents where I've got my buy orders, but we have to look at all the indicators, all the data to understand this a bit more. For me, I would like to always be buying, particularly at the 14-day around a 40 mark, and I'd like to see the 28-day pretty much where it is right now. So I wouldn't be too angry. As I said, I'll be buying at this current stage because of that 28-day, because I do like to look at monthly trades as well, albeit I'm not selling HBAR. What I'm talking about here is the purchasing opportunity of how low are we, how much can I reduce the risk of it coming down. For example, back all the way down here, this is where we saw the really low points, right around 5 cents. So this is what you've got to think about when you're investing and thinking about the strategy of how to buy. We call it DCA, dollar cost averaging. This means you don't chuck your money straight in because you've just been paid. It means you strategically, if you know you're in a bear market and there's opportunity for low regions, you place your orders in incremental values, incremental percentages on the way down. You don't know where the bottom is. You can all, oh, I should have waited, it's come down further, or I should have got more when it was down there because now it's really high. You have to play it on the way. Simple as that. It's worked for me for a few years now, and it's probably the best way that you could do. That's my opinion. That's how I do it, and it works for me. You guys out there might have different investment strategies and things like this. Absolutely fine as well. But if you're looking for long-term hold like I am, I'm always looking for the lower regions and the lowest possible that I can, because that's how I accumulate the best I can. Finally, performance indicators on the right hand side here, 7% on the week, but we're negative on the others. However, the 6 months is relatively healthy, even though it's red. The 3 months and the 6 months are some of the lowest ones I've seen across a multitude of projects. This number is coming down, guys. This doesn't mean that we're coming out of a bear market completely or anything like this, but it does show stabilization for sure. So I think the next 2-3 months are going to be interesting, and I do think the next 2 months are going to shape whether we have a potential bull run towards the end of this year, or if it's going into next year. It really depends on so many things. Here in the UK, for example, in October, we've got all more rate hikes and things like this. I'm sure there's going to be some more world craziness going on around the corner. So just be cautious and pay attention to the indicators. Pay attention to where we are on the charts. And as I said, last bit of advice, check the history data points as well. Guys, we're going to wrap that up there. Thank you so much for watching. We will tune in with you guys for the next Hedera hash graph video as soon as possible. We'll see you soon. Bye bye.